So he's kind of glitched trying to get into this helicopter drone thing. Yeah. Mind's Eye might be the worst game of 2025. As far as like, not some small little title or something like that. Something that gets a retail release, was featured at a State of Play presentation where I first saw it and I was like, hey, this looks really cool. So it really pains me to say that this game is probably the worst game of 2025. And I don't understand how this happened. You look at the setting for the game. We saw the initial trailer of the game, and everything looked cool. It looked kind of, like a futuristic, sort of rooted in reality game. It looked like a pseudo open world thing, maybe like an open world. It's just kind of a smaller thing so they could do more details and stuff like that. You look at the company behind the game, Build a Rocket Boy, which was founded by an ex-Rockstar veteran employee. You're like, okay, they know how to make a decent game. They know what gamers are looking for. This could be a hidden gem of the summer. But then some weird things started to happen with the game. It seems like there wasn't many updates for it as far as like gameplay trailers. Everything that we had seen was very curated, which, I mean, that's standard practice. That's nothing too crazy. And then there was like a behind the scenes sort of view of the game that was done for some of the gaming press, and the results were very mixed, to say the least, coming from people. And once again, I'm not going to let someone else's opinion sway my opinion. I still had hope for the game. And then we started to get like reports that people were paid to say that the game wasn't good by Rockstar from employees at Build a Rocket Boy. And all right, now we're getting a little weird, a little bit off the rails here. Now employees, main employees are leaving the company right before the game launches. And all right, okay. But really the most sort of puzzling thing was the game came out on yesterday, Tuesday, June 10th, and there was no reviews. There was absolutely no reviews. And on one hand, it's like, well, okay, you know what? Maybe this is like a Nintendo Switch 2 situation where, Mario Kart World is awesome. The system is really cool. Everyone enjoys it for the most part. So, they don't really need to rely on reviews. Or this could be a situation where the game itself is so bad, it's almost embarrassing, and they didn't want reviews to go out because then nobody would buy the game. And unfortunately, it pains me to say that this is a situation of the latter. Because Mind's Eye, Jesus Christ, I don't understand this game. I don't understand the thought process behind it. I definitely don't understand the gameplay behind it. But it's a game that exists. You play as a character named Jacob Diaz, who is... he kind of looks like a Hispanic Paul Walker to me. I don't know why, but that's just kind of the vibe I got from him. But, like, he's an ex-special ops soldier, and, like, you have a little flashback, and then you're in the modern times. You go and you start to stay with a friend. Your friend gets you a job at this place. You go to work your job, and then all of a sudden you're, like, a big baller at this job. It's at a AI and robotics place, neural implants, a lot of futuristic stuff, kind of how the future is going to be, probably in the next 40 to 50 years when we're all done and gone and rotting in the dirt or something like that. Maybe a bit of a glimpse into the future here, but the story starts out all right. I think there's some very good voice acting. The voice acting in the game is actually the highlight of the game for me. Let me go ahead and get that out of the way. I think the voice acting is very well done. The story starts out okay, and then you, start to play the game, and you start to see kind of the cracks in the foundation of the game. And you quickly realize what type of game this is. This is not really an open world game in any sort of sense. It's more so just places that you go for your next mission. And so you kind of do something, and then you have to drive to another location, And then when you get to that location, you do something, and then you drive to another location, which could be back to the place where you work, or it could be to someone else's house or something. Rinse and repeat. Now, on paper, that doesn't sound bad. There have been other games like that have been very successful. This is not one of those games, because you could quickly see what these driving segments are. They are nothing but padding. Your car doesn't really go all that fast at any sort of point in the game. So the whole time, it takes like literally 4 or 5 minutes sometimes or more to drive to a location. And sometimes there's some chatter between you and like your boss or your friend or other people that work at the place. But for the most part, you're just kind of driving. And then sometimes you get into gunplay, and you get to see the amazing AI that this game has to offer, which really ranges from Christ-like to completely dumb. And more often than not, it's the completely dumb people that you're going to come across with the AI of the game. There have literally been times where I was standing right next to an individual, and they're just like confused as to what to do. Do I attack this person who is clearly killing other people that are here, that are on my side? Why do all these people look the same as well? I don't mean they look similar. I mean, they all have the same clothes. Like, you'll fight in an area, and there'll just be 3 different character types or so that just constantly just alternate. And it's like, I just fought someone that I just, was in a gunfight with someone that looks just like you. Why, where's the variety in the characters? Why does everyone look so similar? Sometimes they'll have very good aim. Most of the time, they won't have very good aim. There is a cover system in the game that, I mean, it's fine. It kind of works. It's how you regenerate your health, because there's no items in this game or anything like that, which I kind of can get behind, trying to be a little bit different. But none of this is fun. None of this works really well. None of this feels satisfying to do. The combat itself feels extremely hollow. Like, it's just kind of pew, 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 move up a little bit, pew, 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 move up a little bit, pew, pew, pew. Oh, I found this thing. Let me get back in my car, and now I have to drive somewhere for 5 minutes in order to complete this mission and move on to the next segment of the game. And then there's like these flashback scenes. I haven't even talked about these, that just kind of like appear as a rift, and you go back to figure out what is, who was I before I was this person, because I don't remember anything, because I have this implant in my head called the MindsEye, and now I have to figure out who put this implant in me, and why did they do it, and what was in my past life. And these things range from like general war combat to like putting robots up in certain areas in order to stop a robber or something like that. They try to throw in a lot of technology stuff at you, like drones and flying drones that you can, get into with someone, but it's all based around missions. And take, for instance, the drone thing. It happens very early in the game. You basically have to track someone who stole something from the place that you work at, and nobody stopped them, but everyone knew that this person stole something because you watched them on the camera system in there, and then you wanted to see where they went with the item that they stole. And then you basically track them with a drone. And it takes several minutes because they're just driving at their leisure. So you're just following them with their drone, and they're trying to give you all this story through different, communications that are happening, but it's just not interesting. And then it turns out later on in the game, there's a quick time event where that person who stole something, you actually have to save them and resuscitate them and breathe into their mouth and give them mouth to mouth. And it's like, what the hell are we doing here? Why are we just throwing like shit at the wall with this game? Because you never do anything like this ever again. It's a quick time event, and there's nothing else really like it. At least what I've played thus far, the 8 hours or so that I've played, there's nothing else like this in the game. Once again, we go back to that padding mentality. And then, of course, the elephant in the room. You've seen the presentation of this game. Jesus Christ almighty. This game is what people thought Cyberpunk 2077 was going to look like on the Nintendo Switch 2. It is a low-resolution game. I'm playing this on the Xbox Series X, by the way. The resolution is low. There's tons of artifacting. There's tons of screen tearing. I don't know what the frame rate of this game is trying to target, but more often than not, it does not hit its target. It does not hit its metrics. And that actually affects the gameplay as well. well. The physics are completely ridiculous. There's just, sometimes your car will just go flying. Sometimes you'll see other cars that are driving on the road just like go off the road and crash and explode. Nothing about this game seems polished. Like, usually with a bad game, you could kind of see, okay, this is where they focused most of their time and effort on. This is what they wanted to be sort of the priority. And then everything else was kind of on the back burner. But it's not a fun game. There's nothing to do in this world. The world simply exists for you to drive through it and for you to go to other places. Now, I have heard when you complete the game, which takes anywhere to 15 to 20 hours, that you can explore the open world, but it's like, why would I want to? What am I supposed to do in the world? There's nothing interesting here. Like, I guess, if you're interested in seeing some landmarks in this sort of fake world of Red Rock, then maybe this would be interesting. But I don't understand what this game is going for with this, because I honestly felt like this game was going to be a GTA style game, but in a much more shrunk down environment, thus allowing for more interesting things to happen, more places to go into, more things to discover. But it's such a linear adventure, which in and of itself isn't a bad thing, but the adventure has to be good. The adventure has to be fun. The adventure has to be enjoyable. And there is no enjoyment in this game. It really feels just like an overly rushed product that had no quality testing done to it. And this is probably the reason why there was no review copies. This is probably the reason why people left the studio right before this game launched. Because like I said, they want to make this a whole universe. They want other games. They're planning other things with MindsEye. And somebody, I guess, finally realized, hey, this game is kind of crappy, and it's not going to sell. It's not going to review well. The game doesn't look good. The game doesn't play well. The story could be all right, I guess. The voice acting is nice. I'll give it that. But it just looks bad and it plays bad. And those are two of the most important parts for most people of a video game. If a game is not fun or a game is not pretty or a game is not fun and not pretty, this is what you end up with. A $60 game, mind you. I had to buy this thing, and I bought it with excitement. I bought it with a glimmer of hope in my eye, thinking to myself, this might be all right. And if the video I'm showing you is boring, because I'm going to show you some of these driving segments, folks. I'm going to show you. So there's no radio. Don't think there's any radio stations to access or anything, or places to go buy weapons or clothes or anything like. This is the most bare bones linear experience. This almost feels like a game that would have released on like the PlayStation 3 or the Xbox 360 on like a digital download only, or maybe like a $40 kind of AA budget game. There are way better experiences on those systems that honestly can look and play better than this game does. And it's a shame, because I think this game had a lot of potential. I think, it could have been decent. It could have been like one of those hidden gem games, there was that air of mystique to it. There was that air of mystery to it, but just completely dropped the ball. If you're morbidly curious about the game and you see it on sale for like $10, because spoiler alert, this game will go on sale very quickly. Maybe check it out. Maybe you'll get some enjoyment out of it. But for most people, I feel like your money can be better spent on other games. Okay. And there's another thing I want to talk about. You have these AI things. You have like these augmented things, and this MindsEye thing. But you can't like do anything with the augment. Like, it feels like that was just sort of tacked on to the game, because it doesn't really impact you as a character. It doesn't impact your combat. It doesn't impact anything. There's no skill tree. There's no upgrades, which is fine. You don't want to do the RPG elements, but you have to give people a reason to keep wanting to play the game. And when you've kind of seen most of the gameplay and mechanics in the first 3 hours of the game, there's not much of a reason for people to stick around unless they're in love with the story or in love with the gameplay. And I don't see most people being in love with either of these things. It's just very, very strange. Very strange. But that's MindsEye for you. Yeah. Not worth my $60, folks. Not worth my. I should have bought Puyo Puyo Tetris 2S or Hogwarts on the Switch 2 or something. At least that seems like a decent enough game. I liked Hogwarts on the Xbox Series X. But I figured I bought this game. I played it a bunch. I'm going to make a video on it. So let me know if you checked out MindsEye or plan on checking out MindsEye. If you are planning on checking it out, I do have to ask why. And as always, thank you for checking out this video. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Be sure to like, comment, and share. Hit the bell as well. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.